Hi, I'm Shannon Bailey, Chief Curator at the World Chess Hall of Fame, and I am really proud to show you our exhibition, Keith Haring, Radiant Gambit. We have always wanted to do a show of Keith Haring's work. His work is just so dynamic, it's so recognizable, and it is so much fun. Here at the World Chess Hall of Fame, we're always looking for connections between art and chess. And actually, Keith wasn't a chess player. We have all of his journals. He didn't write about chess, but his mission for what he did as an artist really matches the mission here at the World Chess Hall of Fame. He wanted art to be for everybody, and we want chess to be for everybody. He wanted art to be fun, he wanted it to be accessible, and that's exactly how we view chess too. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you some chess sets that actually were created by the Keith Haring Foundation after Keith's death from AIDS in 1990. And the sale of those pieces benefit AIDS research and children's hospitals. This exhibition is on 2 floors here at the World Chess Hall of Fame, and we've kind of divided it up that there's some earlier works of his on Gallery 1, where you are right now, and I'm going to start off by showing you some of these great pieces. Here we've got some great photography. So this show has 130 works of art in it, including from a huge section of it from one private collector. We have some great pieces from the Mildred Kemper Art Museum. Some loans from a photographer, Alan Tenenbaum, and like I said, the 2 chess pieces that were created, plus some brand new work from St. Louis artists and some bespoke chess pieces from Purling London. So you're going to see a lot of prints that Keith made, but you're going to see a lot of photography too, because Keith was so dynamic and everybody loved him and everybody wanted to photograph not only his work but himself. So here we start off this exhibition with just some 2 really great pieces of Keith. One done by an artist who took photographs of many artists in bathtubs, so it's kind of a fun one to kick that off. And then here we have this really important photo of Keith in his pop shop. His pop shop was a place that he opened up where people could buy his art affordably. And this artist who took this photograph, Teng Quan Chi, he was known for photographing over 20,000 works of Keith's that a lot of times they were temporary works of art. And so this is just a really great way to start the show off. Keith grew up in rural Pennsylvania. He was born in 1958. He went to art school for a little bit in Pittsburgh and then really moved to New York City and found his talent and his inspiration there. Here we have these 2 drawings that just look like they're chalk drawings on black paint. But where he really became famous was he saw these black sheets of paper that were put in the subways when they covered up old advertisements, and he started drawing on those. People started watching him. He even got arrested for doing it, and sometimes they got removed. And these are really special because these are actually original chalk drawings of his from those subways, and this is where Keith got known. Not only will we look at some really kind of fun artworks of Keith, but he did do a lot of really kind of serious subject matter. You're going to see a lot of Christian references. He did grow up Christian, but he became a little bit skeptical about his religion. But he really liked the fact that there was a lot of storytelling in Christianity. Another thing that he was really a big proponent on was spreading word about things like anti-apartheid, racism, AIDS, different kinds of things that were going on in the 1980s. So this is a series that he did to kind of point out injustices that he saw. One of the big highlights from this exhibition is this single print. This is one of his single largest prints that he ever did with the figure Medusa. And what you can see here is, I think most people are familiar with the story of Medusa and the snakes and the looking at her and you would turn to stone. So he put his little Keith Haring-esque twist on this. And you see these beautiful abstracted lines of this figure, but instead of the snake heads, they turn into some of his figures. Looking at more photography, we were so honored to work with the photographer, Alan Tenenbaum, who really kind of gained a lot of fame for taking photographs of music scenes and celebrities and artists. We have 11 of his photographs in this show, and we're really lucky enough to use a lot of them for our promotion too. They're really dynamic photos in that you get to see Keith working. So Keith allowed him in his studio, and you can see him creating with paintbrushes and spray paint cans, looking at some of his murals. And again, since some of the murals are no longer in existence, it's great to see those. Plus just him at Tony Shafratzy's gallery opening, who represented him. This is a photo of a big mural project that he did in Paris. And you can see models and clubs wearing his clothing. A couple of more highlights from this floor's exhibition are definitely these chess sets. So this is a very new chess set that was created, and actually this was one of the things where it was like, okay, now I finally got to get that Keith Haring show going that I've always wanted to do because I'm such a huge fan. This is a very affordable chess set that is sold by the MoMA Design Store, that they partnered with the Foundation and Vilac, which is a French game company that makes beautiful wooden toys. And now you can start to see Keith's little pieces, the barking dog, which we'll talk more about, the baby, and kind of these like radiant lines coming off. So we have a few of these in our collection, and like I said, they're very affordable, and you could probably buy these for some upcoming holidays as well. A few years prior, the Foundation worked with another company to create this chess set, which was a little bit more expensive and sold on the art market. And it's just another way to see Keith's, his babies, his figure with the three eyes, again, we'll talk more about. And the queen has this yellow crown, which was a throwback, if you're familiar with Jean-Michel Basquiat, who was a dear friend of Keith Haring, to pay homage to him in that as well. One more great photograph that is fun to show, it's also because of the wonderful talent of this artist, is another photo of Keith Haring in New York taken by Annie Leibovitz, known for her photos in Vanity Fair and the Rolling Stones. So we've got a contact sheet, and then we've got this great photo where she was just going to photograph Keith painting. And then they thought about maybe Keith painting himself from the top up, and then they decided to paint him completely nude. And then they took him out. This is the mid-1980s in Times Square, when that wasn't kind of the amusement park that it is today. And they went out in the freezing cold and were taking pictures, and they said nobody stopped them. There were even cops nearby who just kind of let them do their thing. A last highlight on this exhibition floor are our great loans from the Mildred Lane Kemper Art Museum. We have two sets of 4 images. One set is talking about that pop shop that I had mentioned earlier, where Keith did take his artwork and lower the prices so people could get it. He did get some slack from some of his artist friends in the community, not for really being a sellout, but maybe for not getting as much money as he could have for his pieces. And so he made a series of artworks kind of mocking that as well. And then the last group that we'll look at are these chocolate Buddha pieces, which is a very different palette than one you've been seeing in some of his earlier work, but kind of showing his interest in different kinds of religions and storytelling. And these are referencing Buddhist ideas of interconnection and rebirth. I hope you liked Gallery 1. In our second part of Keith Haring Radiant Gambit, we look at Keith's later years, plus an array of artists who were deeply influenced by his work. So unfortunately, Keith did not live a long life, even though he created an enormous amount of artwork in that time period. You'd think that he would have lived much longer, but he died in 1990 at the age of 31 from AIDS-related illnesses. So it's really, like I said, amazing to see how much work he produced and then how many people are still moved by him today, 30 years after his passing. These first few pieces here in Gallery 2 really do kind of showcase that, oh, I know that that's a Keith Haring piece. So we have this kind of iconic series of pieces that just really showcase some of his work that you see repeatedly popping up throughout his artwork. We've got the dog. The dog kind of symbolizes authority in a lot of his work. He's got this kind of three-eyed squared figure, which kind of showcase things like mischievous behavior. We looked at the radiant baby downstairs, and this is just such a beautiful representation of that. And that's kind of flanked by his angel and demons that you can see. So his radiant baby, he kind of thought represented joy in his work, and obviously the angel and the demon are good versus evil. As I also mentioned downstairs, Keith really loved working with children, and his foundation is still promoting things for the promotion of children's hospitals, and he did a lot of murals in children's hospitals throughout the country. This was a really sweet project, and we're really lucky to have, you know, the whole series here for everyone to look at. But this is the story of Red and Blue. And Haring created this as a gift for the children of his art dealer, Hans Meyer. And what he did was just, you know, just adorable, is he just kind of took red and blue marks on paper and then created the black lines around it. So you do see some, you know, fun elements of that, and then in a really tender way at the end, the red and blue pieces embrace, and the last piece you see is the purple that they create together. We have a few more examples of his Radiant Baby posters here. And then another kind of prize highlight of the exhibition is this inflatable baby that was actually sold in the pop shop that I had mentioned. We were able to blow it up. That's the original box, so it's really fun to see his work kind of come alive in this 3D fun kind of manner. Another highlight of the exhibition, which is, you know, near and dear to us St. Louisans, is this whole edition and series of a piece that he did called The Valley. These pieces were inspired by The Western Lands, which was published by St. Louis beat poet William Burroughs in 1987. And you can see very different, striking look to the works that Keith did. So this is when he really started becoming very ill with his battle with AIDS. And you can kind of see a little bit of, you know, kind of his sadness and deterioration showing through in these pieces. One thing that we wanted to do, even though we had so many amazing Harings to show, is we really wanted to show everybody that Keith really had a lasting impact on a variety of artists throughout the entire world. So he was internationally known at the time of his death. This is another time that we are partnering with Purling Luxury Games. So we've worked with them on a couple of our past exhibitions, especially Ladies' Night, and we did an entire exhibition called Painted Pieces of their artwork. I called their founder, Simon Perkis, and I said, you know, I would love to have some artists who were inspired directly by Keith to be in this show. So what they do is they give them a board and they give them a typical Staunton set, and then they decorate and paint and manipulate them in a way that kind of represents their own artwork. They came up with 4 fantastic artists who were heavily influenced by Haring, as you can see. This is Sick Boy, and he was very influenced by graffiti on trains that were shown, that you saw a lot in New York City. And then it's really an honor to have two of the artists who actually knew or worked with Keith Haring. So this is Terry Noir. Terry Noir is a really well-known European street artist who is also known as being one of the first artists to paint graffiti on the Berlin Wall. An interesting story happened. Keith was also invited over to paint some murals on the Berlin Wall, and Terry was there painting some other things and noticed that a huge part of his mural had been covered up, and it was covered up kind of as a blank canvas for Keith Haring to start painting a piece on. So he kind of confronted Keith about it. Keith really apologized about it, and they struck up a friendship. But there's a lot of influence in his work there. We have two more of those pieces, which I'll show you in a couple of minutes. But I did want to point out another really special element of this Keith Haring Radiant Gambit exhibition is 4 brand new pieces that were commissioned for St. Louis artists to create chess and artwork inspired by Keith Haring that are now owned and are in the permanent collection of the World Chess Hall of Fame. So we get to continue to share these pieces, and it's just a really great way for us to celebrate artists in St. Louis. This first incredible mural is done by Stan Chisholm. And Stan has worked with us before, and he was a very easy artist to kind of go to and partner with because I'm so inspired by his artwork. This piece, you can see that he really did show a large chess connection here with these 2 Staunton chess pieces that he really kind of broke up and inspired. He wanted to keep that black and white palette because of the way that the colors are represented in the game, but also kind of talking about like maybe some black and white issues going on in the world right now. But you can see a lot of really interesting digital forms, and here's some extracted forms and some tribal elements. The next artist we are going to look at is Ido Rosenblith. And Ido did 2 pieces for us, and we're going to show you both of them in this tour. So Ido's very graphic, has this great abstracted style, and here he did this incredible chess piece inspired by the drawings of Keith Haring through here. We're going to have some artists come and take down, some people at the World Chess Hall of Fame are going to remove that, and we will be able to show you the piece underneath. Now that you see Ido's full mural, Flesh and Fire, Chess and Hell, you can see, as I mentioned earlier, that he was deeply inspired by 2 grand pieces of Keith Haring's, Untitled and Once Upon a Time. Once Upon a Time is a very well-known mural that still exists in New York City that is really meant to promote gay culture. The Untitled is a mural about hell, and so what Ido did is he kind of blended these 2 together, added his own work to it, where he has 2 players who are trapped in hell and they can only play with 1 piece. And we have 2 other Purling sets on this side of the gallery as well, and I wanted to point out LA2, who actually met Keith Haring when he was a teenager and collaborated with him for 6 years. So again, it's really nice not only to have people that were influenced by Keith in the show, but actually knew him and interacted with him. We were really honored to have Dale Chambers agree to work with us on this exhibition, as we had never shown her artwork here before, and I really wanted to have a female who was inspired by Keith and saw a great connection with Keith. In her piece, The Shadow of the Queen's Throne, is kind of looking at the history of chess through abstract expressionism and some African-centered aesthetics. She chose to have a chess connection, but also look at the ancient game Senet, which predates chess. So flowing from the queen's neck, what appears to be a scarf is really a river. And it's supposed to represent both the Nile River and the Mississippi River in the United States. So kind of connecting experiences of people in ancient Egypt and Nubia with those in the African diaspora. Pete Walliger is another artist that we have worked with before. He did a mural project when we did Living Like Kings, and it was a huge fan of Keith Haring. He actually has a room in his house dedicated to Keith Haring's work. And he not only created a mural, but he also created this light up chess board with his signature eyes tag. He created these plexiglass pieces that are digitally etched and put on the board. And it is a playable set, and we hope to be able to have some chess players work on that piece. So we're really inspired to see all of the artists who really looked up to Keith Haring. We're so proud to showcase such a diverse array of Keith's work from his earlier years. And I'm so honored that you get to see it. I hope you really enjoyed the tour. It closes on May 16th, 2021, so there's still plenty of time to see our virtual tours if you can't make it to St. Louis, or come down and visit. For more information about this exhibition and our other exhibitions and our programming, please visit our website, worldchesshof.org.